September 1944. The Atlantic Ocean is calm. A Rush Street transport ship cuts through the gray water, carrying hundreds of exhausted German prisoners of war toward an enemy they have been taught to despise. The men stand silently behind steel railings. Some still wear torn Wehrmacht uniforms stained with the dust of Normandy. Others whisper to each other with quiet confidence. America, they believe, is soft. Its soldiers rely on machines because they lack discipline. Its factories produce quantity, not quality. That is what years of Nazi propaganda had promised them. So when the coastline finally appears through the morning fog, no one expects what comes next. Instead of a handful of ports and scattered warehouses, the horizon seems to disappear beneath an endless forest of cranes. Shipyards stretch farther than the eye can see. Smoke rises from thousands of chimneys. Freight trains thunder across bridges every few minutes. New Liberty ships slide into the water, while others are already being loaded for Europe. The prisoners stare without speaking. One German corporal later remembers only a single sentence. It looked as if the entire country had become one giant factory. And this is only one harbor. Across America, more than 250,000 aircraft, nearly 90,000 tanks, and over 2 million military trucks will be built during the war. Numbers so enormous, many German officers simply refuse to believe them. They assume it is carefully staged, a trick, a performance designed to break their morale. But over the coming months, they will discover that the impossible numbers are real. They will walk through farms larger than entire German villages, see highways crowded with trucks carrying endless supplies, watch factories operating every hour of every day. And for many prisoners, the greatest shock will not be America's weapons. It will be realizing that everything they had believed about their enemy was wrong. How did thousands of German soldiers, once convinced Germany possessed the greatest industrial machine on earth, come to question everything they knew? That story begins the moment they stepped onto American soil. For years, German soldiers have been told a simple story. America was rich, lazy, materialistic. Its factories produced refrigerators and automobiles, not victories. The German war machine, they believed, was built by superior engineering and disciplined workers. Then the trains began moving. As prisoners were transported inland to camps across Texas, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and the Midwest, the landscape itself became another weapon. Miles of fertile farmland, gigantic grain silos, oil wells pumping day and night, railroads carrying endless cargo in every direction. Nothing seemed interrupted by war. There were no bomb craters, no starving civilians, no destroyed cities. The economy continued producing as if the conflict existed on another continent. Many prisoners expected shortages. Instead, they saw supermarkets, rows of canned food, fresh fruit, meat, milk, coffee, sugar, even chocolate, items becoming increasingly rare inside Germany. One former Luftwaffe mechanic later recalled, "Our guards complained because there were too many eggs at breakfast." To men whose families survived on ration cards, the complaint sounded absurd. Yet the greatest revelation came after work assignments. Under international law, many German prisoners worked on American farms and factories. Some repaired roads, others harvested crops. Many helped in food processing plants. There they witnessed assembly lines unlike anything they had imagined. Machines rarely stopped. Replacement parts arrived instantly. Forklifts, conveyor belts, overhead cranes. Everything moved with astonishing efficiency. If one machine failed, another replaced it within hours. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, German factories struggled to recover from relentless Allied bombing. Electricity failed. Steel became scarce. Railways collapsed. Every destroyed locomotive delayed ammunition. Every damaged bridge slowed reinforcements. Every lost factory meant fewer aircraft reaching the front. The contrast became impossible to ignore. One side repaired, the other replaced. One side rationed every bolt, the other measured production in thousands. By late 1944, American factories were producing nearly one aircraft every 5 minutes. Entire armor divisions could be equipped faster than Germany could replace a single catastrophic defeat. German officers inside POW camps quietly debated impossible questions. How can any nation possess so much steel, so much fuel, so many workers? Some concluded there must be hidden factories. Others believed American production figures were exaggerated, until newspapers arrived, until radios reported the same numbers, until newly captured prisoners confirmed identical stories. Slowly, confidence became doubt. Doubt became silence. The propaganda that shaped their understanding of America began collapsing piece by piece. And nowhere would that collapse become more personal than inside the factories themselves. By the spring of 1945, Germany's industrial heart had nearly stopped beating. Entire cities lay beneath rubble. Rail networks were shattered. Fuel depots burned. Factories that had once symbolized German engineering stood silent. Across the ocean, America's assembly lines continued moving. Ships still left the docks. Aircraft still rolled from factories. New tanks continued arriving in Europe faster than old ones could be destroyed. For thousands of German prisoners, defeat was no longer measured on battlefields. It was measured in arithmetic, production, fuel, steel, logistics. The realization spread quietly through the camps. Germany had not simply lost to larger armies. It had fought against an industrial system unlike anything the modern world had ever seen. Years later, many former prisoners admitted that their first glimpse of America had shattered the myths they carried into the war. Some described the experience as more powerful than any battle. Others recalled feeling anger, not toward their captors, but toward the propaganda that had hidden reality from them. They had arrived believing America lacked discipline. They left understanding that discipline could also exist in factories, on railroads, in shipyards, and in millions of ordinary workers who never fired a rifle but helped win the war every single day. Historians would later conclude that World War II was not decided by one battle alone. It was decided by the ability to replace losses faster than an enemy could inflict them, by the ability to move supplies across oceans, to feed armies, to fuel aircraft, to keep machines moving without pause. The prisoners who once mocked American industry became witnesses to its greatest victory, not merely its power, but its endurance, because in the end, the greatest weapon the United States ever built was not a tank, not a bomber, not even a battleship. It was an industrial machine so vast that it changed the outcome of history long before the final shots were fired.